Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? This is Jerome Wright, the upstate organizer for the Campaign for Alternatives to Isolated Confinement. Welcome to our virtual rally, our car action, and our demand of the state of New York that they end solitary confinement as we know it. I want to thank all of you for being on. Right now, I see about 108 people logged in, and we have people all over the state. First of all, let me tell you this. Even before there was a COVID-19 crisis, a public health issue, there was a public health issue that we had with solitary confinement. And the Halt Solitary Confinement Act, known as Halt Solitary, is one of the bills in state legislature now that we are demanding by this action today that the legislators come back, although remotely, and vote on and pass this bill, send it on to the governor, and have him sign it. Thousands of New Yorkers are now in solitary confinement in jails and prisons in the state of New York. And the time is now to end this torture. We already know that the UN has not sanctioned this, has called this torture through the Mandela rules that the United States signed on to, but they are not living up to. We know that people with mental health issues, people with all type of disabilities, people who should not be confined to a 6x9 cell for 23 hours out of the day are right now being tortured in those cells. They are having mental health issues, they are committing self-harm, and ultimately many are dying from suicide. 30% of the suicides in state prisons happen in solitary confinement. We just got a report just last night that because of the COVID-19 crisis, that there are people who are in solitary who are past their sentence time, but are being held there, still treated as if they're in solitary without any amenities, no privileges, and still suffering and being tortured. This is unconscionable, it is abominable, and it has got to stop. We have a majority, an overwhelming majority of co-sponsors in both the state assembly and the state senate. Enough votes, more votes than any other bill that I can think of, that now we are demanding that they put this before the floor. Not only do we have more co-sponsors than any other bill, we also have people who are, though not co-sponsored, feel similarly that this is an abomination and needs to stop and will be voting. So we will have probably well over 100 assemblymen and well over 35 to 40 senators on the state level who are willing to vote to end this torture. The people all over the state, this is a statewide issue. This is a public health emergency. This is about human rights and human dignity. And we must stand up now. And as you will see today, as we come from Buffalo, Albany, Rochester, Brooklyn, Long Island, Ithaca, you name it, we have people all over the state who are participating in this action to demand now that they come back and legislate. We even have co-sponsors and legislators who feel like we feel that the time is way past now for this to start to go into effect. We demand that the governor, who every day gets on TV and says that all lives matter, remind them that prisoners' lives matter too, and their families by consequence, because the torture does not rest just with those in solitary, it also rests with the families and loved ones of those who know they're in there. And with this COVID-19 crisis, we are co-signing people to death in these solitary confinement cells, because it is indisputable that time in solitary compromises your immune system, makes you more susceptible to the virus, and makes you more susceptible to succumb to its ill effects. We must stop this torture. We must stop it now. So as we talk today, I'm going to send you all around the state to our different areas, and we're going to have people speaking. We're going to have legislators speaking, survivors of solitary, family members of those in solitary, advocates, legislators, you name it, a virtual who's who of the people of the state of New York, to show that this is not a partisan issue. This is not a prisoner issue. This is a New York State issue for all people. And you will hear from many of them today.